So now I come to the actual topic, that is the natural preservatives. So they are part of food ingredients which can prolong the shelf life by antioxidant and antimicrobial activities. But then in case of meat, nowadays with the development of technology, preservation is not a big challenge to prevent the microbes. So by low temperature or freezing, we can almost control it. But the another process is oxidation, which is not easy. Even in low temperature, oxidation will continue. Even in freezer temperature, oxidation continues in a low rate. So normally we say, suppose meat we can keep 6 months, it is okay. That may apparently look okay, but there is low level of oxidation. But sensory point of view, it is okay. But it has got the oxidative products. Those products are going into the human body, and that may be causing a lot of health disorder subclinically, which is not really studied properly. So that is my concern. That's why I am focusing more on the antioxidants actually. So here is the classification of natural preservatives. It can be plant origin, animal origin, and microbial origin. So as I said, animal origin is like lactoferrin, lysozyme, lactoperoxidase, chitosan, carnosine, but I am not going into it. I will go more on the phytopreservatives or plant origin. From here comes the natural antioxidants. So they are again subclassified into 3 categories: phytoalexins, organic acids, and essential oils. Now all of these, most of these plant origin chemicals, either they are antimicrobial or antioxidants. So one of the common compounds are polyphenols from this plant origin. They are classified into flavonoids and non-flavonoids. The flavonoids again have 3 classes: flavonols, flavonols, and anthocyanidins. Each of them again have several subdivisions like catechin, epicatechin, quercetin, myricetin, cyanidin, like that. In the non-flavonoids, there is phenolic acid, stilbenes, and so many other things, resveratrol. So this is only to get an idea about the phytochemicals, etc. Now, interesting is all these phytochemicals are produced by the plant for its own defense. So as I said, in animal living, we need to produce oxygen. That is the process of life. Automatically, we get the reaction, opposite reaction, that is the free radicals. Similarly, in plants also, they are facing the same problem, free radicals from their respiration and photosynthesis. So to safeguard that, they produce all these phytochemicals. And another reason is they are also attacked by different kind of pests. Different kind of insects, pests are against the plant. So to safeguard themselves also, they produce different kind of chemicals to prevent the pest by virtue of their activity or smell, etc. So that's the background of phytochemicals. Here is a source. There can be even more. Broadly, I have put it here, the sources of these phytopreservatives like legume, nuts, oil seeds, cereals, vegetables, fruits, herbs, and spices. Now from this list, of course, I am more interested in the herbs and spices, which includes everything we use even in our kitchen and etc. Clove, peppers, thyme, ginger, garlic, turmeric. All these things are excellent source of phytochemicals, either as antimicrobial or as antioxidant. And of course, next is fruits and vegetables. These are my more interest to cover in this. So here briefly about the antimicrobial action of these preservatives. So they cause cell damage or leakage of cell material from the microbial cells, I am telling you, or DNA damage or DNA synthesis, or impair the respiratory activity. So all these kind of cells has got the membrane, and that membrane has a role. So these kind of different antimicrobial agents pass through this membrane and cause the damage. That's how the microbes are killed by this plant origin source. Even sometimes essential oils can affect the periplasm of gram-negative bacteria. Sometimes it reduces the solubility of trace elements or oxidative stress, or forming the sheep's base. That is how the microbes are prevented to grow and the preservation happens. Here we can see multiple mechanism of these phytochemicals, how it works on the bacterial cell, either by inhibiting the metabolism or protein synthesis or cell wall inhibitor, DNA formation inhibition, or sometime by binding to the adhesins like phenolic compounds, and also it affects the cell permeability. This is how different chemicals from the plant origin act against the microbial cell. Now, advantage of phytopreservatives. So this is of course known by many people. In addition to it prevents the microbial growth, it prevents the oxidation, and it can replace the chemical preservative, and microbiological safety and additional health promoting effect. Sometimes they may affect the organoleptic qualities that we need to ascertain, otherwise not. Many of the herbs and spices can even improve the flavor also. It prevents the spoilage microbes, and sometimes it can minimize the formation of microbial amines or free fatty acid that affect the flavor of the food. So in the right side, we can see different actions of these phytochemicals, which I have mentioned earlier also. Some of them are anti-cancer or anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, or they act through the gut, as I have mentioned. Many of these phytochemicals has an influence on the gut bacteria, and that's how it helps in our better health. So here, once again, natural preservatives, the multiple approach like preventing the pathogen, improving the nutritional and functional property, improving the sensory character, as I mentioned. Some of them may give better flavor and extending the shelf life. So now I come back to meat. So in case of meat, as I mentioned, microbial growth can be prevented, but oxidation cannot be prevented. Even if we keep it at temperature, slow process will continue. So that's the oxidation, and when it reaches very high, it becomes rancidity, we get off flavor. But then, as I mentioned, when it don't reach to that stage, then we may not feel the problem, so we may consume. So then we have a partially oxidized meat or food that can cause a lot of effect in our health. That's a silent killer, probably, I feel. So particularly in case of fish, poultry, pork, they are having more unsaturated fatty acids, so they are more oxidation. And regarding the process of lipid oxidation, most of the people know there is a 3-stage: initiation, propagation, and termination. I don't want to go for more details about it. This is how the formation happens. Sometimes the electron pair gets divided into two, so both become free radicals. Sometimes both divided into one breakdown and free radical, and sometimes addition of electron can cause the formation of free radical. There are 3 different ways it can form. Once again, you can see the free radical mechanism: initiation, propagation. So somewhere in this chain, it is a chain reaction. Somewhere in this chain, we need to put the antioxidant comes into the picture, and it stops the reaction by different mechanism, which I'm coming next. In the right side, we can see the effect of oxidation. So there is formation of reactive oxygen species or free radicals. Normally it can be in the body, that can come into the cell damage, or in case of food also, there is formation of free radicals that can start lipid oxidation. When there is a initial reactive oxygen species, that can cause lipid oxidation, from which comes different other components like hydroperoxides or peroxides. They can cause DNA damage or protein oxidation, and that's how the biology get affected, and that can cause different metabolic disorder, oxidative stress, carcinogenesis, etc. So here, once again, in case of polyunsaturated fatty acid, reactive oxygen species, it causes the lipid oxidation, or sometimes we call auto-oxidation. So there comes the role of antioxidant, either tocopherol as an antioxidant, or ascorbic acid, vitamin C as an antioxidant, or sometimes glutathione peroxidase. So at different stage, different of these antioxidants can play a role to stop it or neutralize the free radicals. And that's how it can prevent the damage to our health. So here again, we can see the lipid oxidation, when it is low level, it can have some physiological impact without much damage. Whereas when the lipid oxidation is very high level, then there is a pathological effect like pro-inflammatory activity, cytotoxicity, mutagenesis, genotoxicity, and reactive oxygen species production. So all these things ultimately lead to disease. If the body antioxidant mechanism fail to stop all this, it can slowly lead to different kind of metabolic diseases like atherosclerosis, neurodegenerative diseases, diabetes, other kind of inflammations, etc. Even can be cancer. So that is where comes the antioxidant. So earlier I told about antioxidant that is in our system, in our body, in our physiology. Here I am talking about the antioxidants in case of food. So they are used to prevent the oxidation in the food so these antioxidants earlier days, say I want to tell my personal memory. Somewhere in 91, when I joined for post-graduation, in 92, I was planning to take up a research. So those days, chemical antioxidant became very, very popular area for research. So I tried to collect a lot of literature and wanted to do some work. Those days, BHA, BHT, they are the prime time. So I wanted to use it in meat and study antioxidation and all that. But somehow I could not do it. But after 3 decades, today, if we see, there is a total change of paradigm. Now the chemical antioxidants are of no use. So today we are interested to work only on natural antioxidant. So because there is a lot of awareness and proof that all these chemical antioxidants are harmful or sometimes causing cancer, etc. That's how the need for natural antioxidant came. So very quickly, we can see different kind of reactive oxygen species, superoxide, hydroxyl radical, peroxyl radical, alkoxy radical, so many, and how the antioxidants some or other way either quench them or neutralize them or scavenge them. That's how the antioxidant play a role. Here is a classification of antioxidants. In the left side, which I told in the first part, antioxidant I told at the beginning, that is endogenous, that is inside our body. So they can be enzymatic or non-enzymatic. Enzymatic, as I mentioned, catalase, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, all these things. And the other non-enzymatic are normal vitamins we use. So vitamin C, vitamin K, all those things. Whereas in the right side, we are talking about the foodborne antioxidants. That is the exogenous source. So in which comes mostly the plant origin, even some of the animal origin also. So here comes the carotenoids, other organosulfur compounds, flavonoids. They are very important, different kind of. They are coming from the plant origin. And those plant origin antioxidants we are interested to use in meat to prevent the oxidation, and that could be a delivery for the human health. So that's how the natural antioxidant comes. Those antioxidants we get from nature. And of course, more focusing on the plant source, that is the herbs, spice, leaves, fruits, vegetables. So these sources are easily acceptable and with a good palatability, except some cases. Sometimes it could have a different flavor or little bit bitterness or otherwise. Most of them are easy, and many of the herbs and spices are normally used in our kitchen. So they can be used in meat. In fact, even in normal meat marketing also it can be used, even if we don't do the meat products. And these components can improve the nutritional value also in addition to the antioxidant properties. So here once again, these are the plant origin antioxidants, phenolic, carotenoid A, C, E, and Q10, coenzyme Q10. In fact, this is also present in normal meat. In case of beef, it is a good source. So how this natural antioxidant work? What is the action? So previously in one list I have told, basically they are radical scavenger, that free radical or hydrogen donor. They can donate one hydrogen atom, then that free radical becomes neutralized. There is a electron is required, electron donor or hydrogen donor, peroxide decomposer. Sometimes they can break the peroxide, or singlet oxygen quencher, enzyme inhibitor, some enzyme which is causing hydrolysis of lipid. So lipid hydrolysis also leading to a kind of rancidity. So that can be prevented by some compounds which can prevent that enzyme, and some metal chelating agents. So many chelating agents can help in chelating some of the enzymes. Many enzyme has got some metal, either ion or zinc, etc. So there will be some agents which can chelate, then that enzyme will not work. So lipid hydrolysis can be prevented or rancidity can be prevented. Now the benefit of these natural antioxidants, little bit I have already mentioned earlier in the first part. So they are having antiviral, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, anti-mutagenic. In the right side, you can see a big list. Of course, nowadays it is being projected in a large way. Everything may not be that good or that much true. We need to study more on all these things. So then dietary fiber. Dietary fiber is one of the important aspect in our diet. Not only meat is totally lack of fiber. Even in many other diet, normally what we consume, fiber is a problem. So we must increase the dietary fiber, which can influence the gut microbiota, and that can make a lot of change in our health. So that's how the delivery of fiber is very important in our meal planning or in our food products or in our meat. So they can improve the blood sugar or gastroenteritis, colon cancer. Colon cancer is a big problem and which is blamed to meat. Well, maybe to some extent it is true when meat is consumed too much. So it remains long in the lower gut and it promotes some kind of bacteria which produces toxic compounds leading to a lot of changes. But if we add proper dietary fiber, to some extent that gut profile can be changed. And secondly, too much of anything is not good. We need to have moderation. That is very, very important. The left side, we can see it can reduce some of the risk of developing cancer. That is the fiber we are talking about. Even in diabetes, I mentioned earlier, fiber can change the gut profile, especially the gram-negative organism or E. coli, which produces LPS. And LPS is the root cause for diabetes. That's what some literature says I have read through.